Welcome to the Killer Author Club. 3 best-selling authors talking about killing, of the fictional kind, with the best thriller and suspense authors in the business. Killer conversations, killer cocktails, and killer guests, with your hosts, Kimberly Bell, Heather Gutenkopf, and Kara Ruda. This is the Killer Author Club.
Hello, everybody, and Happy New Year. Welcome to the Killer Author Club, your favorite haunt for all things murder, mystery, and mayhem. We are back for our first episode of 2026, and so excited to have John Mars here with us, braving the Killer Author Club hot seat to talk about all things Dead in the Water, a spectacularly creepy book. You're going to love it. Will he survive? We don't know. We have tons of questions and so much killer fun for you planned, so buckle up and get ready to kill the lights. I'm Killer Kara Ruda. John, will you introduce yourself?
Hello, how are you? My name's John Mars, and I'm a Brit, and I write books for a living. That's it. That's what there is to say. It's going to be the quickest recording ever.
I like it.
I'm Killer Kimberly Bell.
And I'm Killer Heather Gutenkopf.
And before we dive into John's fabulous book, a couple of quick PSAs. Tonight's show will be available this Friday as a podcast with bonus content just for listeners. Find the links at killerauthorclub.com. And while you're there, sign up for our newsletter so you're the first to hear about our killer breaking news. And now, Kimberly, will you please introduce our killer guest?
I would love to. John Mars is an author and former journalist based in Northamptonshire, England. Did I murder that?
No, you said that so well.
Perfect. After spending his career interviewing celebrity from the worlds of television, film, and music for numerous national newspapers and magazines, he is now a full-time author. He has written 15 books and lives with his husband, other John, and their son. John, could you tell us a little bit about what Dead in the Water is about?
It's a lovely romantic comedy that's full of a really happy ending. It's about, I'll try and do my elevator pitch. My elevator pitch is a bit rubbish, but I'm going to go for it. So when my character Damon survives a near drowning, he remembers his life flashing before his eyes, everything he can think of, except for one thing. He doesn't remember. He sees a boy drown. Actually, he sees a boy dying, but he doesn't remember when it actually, or if it actually happened. So he goes through all different ways to try and work out whether he's making this up or it's a hallucination. And he works out the only way he can find out is if he drowns again, and then again, and again, and again. And it kind of follows him as he tries to unravel his past.
It was fantastic. And like Kara said, very creepy. We loved it. So readers, get chatty and drop your questions for our killer guest in the comments. But first, Heather, what are we drinking tonight?
Oh my goodness, we are drinking the red herring. So John, please tell us why you've chosen this as tonight's drink.
Well, it's one I've borrowed from Goldfinch Cocktails and Kitchen in North Carolina, and it involves a sprig of fresh mint, an ounce of maple syrup, and a can of sparkling cherry limeade. Mix the cherries and the mint with a simple syrup, add ice and shake well, strain over a glass into a rocks glass, and top with some cherry limeade and garnish with fresh mint. Now, I could lie to you and tell you that the glass I have in my hand here is my mocktail. On running around the kitchen about 10 minutes early and realizing all I had was cherryade. That's it. Cherryade, some lukewarm water. I was going to even go out into the garden and drag a leaf off a tree and pretend it's mint, but I don't think I'd fool you.
You know what? You got A for effort.
It's the best mocktail you've ever seen. And behind it, I've got a can of Coke.
I love it.
Perfect. Well, cheers and congratulations to another amazing read.
Yay.
And A for effort. Okay, we created the Killer Author Club so readers like you could get up close and personal with their favorite thriller writers. Our upcoming lineup is stacked with amazing killers. Jenna Blum, me, that's awkward. Gillian McAllister, Daniel Jarrard, and so many more. For dates, times, and past episodes, and our Killer 2026 lineup, surf to killerauthorclub.com. But tonight, it's all about Dead in the Water, and here's what some of John's early reviewers had to say about the book. Okay, Goodreads reviewer Dennis says, I was actually walking the streets of New York City with my book open, flipping the pages and hoping that I didn't get hit by a taxi. No joke, I read this book in 2 sittings. Dead in the Water will be one of the best books released for 2026. Nice. And another Goodreads reviewer, Lauren, had the following very understated reaction. This book, absolutely insane. Twists flying at me left and right, jaw on the floor, me gasping like I've never read a thriller before in my life. I was screaming, I was yelling, wait, what? At the end of every chapter, unhinged behavior, and I regret nothing.
You can't ask better than that, can you?
I mean, put that on the book cover.
I know. Hey, Lauren, if you're out there, you can read one of my books too.
Yeah, right. We'll send you.
What a great review.
What?
Right. I must admit, I am a sucker for reading the 1-star reviews though. When they start coming in, I can't help myself. And it's funny because sometimes I love the 1-star reviews where they love the book and they think it's absolutely brilliant, and they cannot work out the star system, so they give it 1 star.
Yeah.
Or I've also had reviews where they've given it 5 stars, but it's not one of my books. They've cut and pasted the whole thing. So you know what? I'm going to take that. That's mine.
Yeah. We'll take this. Those are both 5-star, and clearly they read your book, which is great. So you are a twisty and shockingly inventive killer. So now we need to know your answer to the killer question, which is, when do you kill?
Oh, I kill whenever I feel like it. In a book, I like to do it when people are least expecting it. So there's one of my books called Her Last Move, and it was about my 4th or 5th book. And there's a main character in it who dies, and people are not expecting it because they've followed this person's character and they think, oh, this is the hero, and I kill him off. And that I'm blaming that on Peter Swanson, because his book, what was it? The name escapes me. I think his second novel, Kind Worth Killing. And he does that with the main character. And that was like, oh, okay, if Swano can do it, I'm doing it. So I like to kill when you're not expecting it. And it also depends on what mood you're in, because you know what? I'm a weird writer. I don't actually write from chapter 1 to chapter whatever. I'll start off wherever I want to, in the middle of a book. As long as I know what the plot's going to be and I've got roughly written out, I'll write that day whatever mood I'm in. So if I'm in a happy mood, I'll do chapter 35. If I'm in a foul mood, do chapter 9 or something like that. Then I piece everything together at the end, and that's how I work.
Wow, that's really
That is
interesting.
insane.
You're all looking at me disgusted.
It makes my head kind of want to explode.
Yeah, I
You
think
know
you're
what?
just-
So I never know what the word count is until the very end, until I've cut and pasted it. And there was one book that I wrote. So most of my books are about 90 to 100,000 words, and I was really pleased with this, and it's going great. And I pieced it all together, 56,000.
Feels like Kara. Kara does that.
What the hell has happened? So basically, if you ever read this book and you see long descriptions about sunsets and countryside, just where I padded that one out.
Yep. They always tell me you got to have some more flashbacks or something. We got to stretch this out. I'm like, oh, that's so boring. But anyway, got to do what you got to do. Okay. So life flashing before your eyes is a haunting premise. Do you remember where the spark for Dead in the Water came from? And was there a specific moment or article, or what inspired it?
Off the top of my head, I really can't remember, and that's really rubbish, isn't it? But that's the same for a lot of my plots. I'll have seen something on TV or thought of something, and and I'll write a little note in my phone, and it'll just be, and this one was like a note that I wrote about 3.5 years ago. Man drowns, sees dead person, doesn't remember it. And I'm like, okay. And I went back to it, and then I just started thinking about the plot. Like the book that came before it, You Killed Me First, the title came to me before anything else. I thought, I quite like that. Had a quick look on Amazon, see whether anybody else has used it, and then basically work backwards for a plot that fitted around it. So I can't remember where this came from, but for whatever reason, it wasn't the right time to write it until last year.
So tell us, okay, talking about titles, Love, Dead in the Water. So where did that one come from?
Again, that just kind of sprang to mind. And again, I had to look on Amazon and see whether other people had used it. And a few had, including a friend of mine. So I kind of messaged him and said, hey, you know that book you released about 4 years ago? Any chance we can borrow the title? And he's like, yeah, we can share custody on it. Yeah. But it's, I think it sounds stupid, I know, but I'll always know if a book is going to do okay if I can get the title right. Most of the time that's turned out to be right, and a couple of ones that I have that haven't done as well, that's because none of us could ever think of a title for it. Well,
the Killers, we wrote a book together that it's coming out in a year, and we were going through book titles, and one of them was, when we were brainstorming, was Dead in the Water, and then we saw that you have a book coming out, and we're like, whoops, no. Yeah,
Yeah, we'll take that one off the list.
Yeah.
John,
I'm
that
I'm
great
calling my
time.
I'm calling my next book Verity. That'll be fine. Nothing to worry
Nobody will
about.
notice.
No one's ever used that, I don't think. Yeah.
So do you think of your titles typically, or is it your editor? Is it a group process? Like,
Yeah,
how does
most of
that
the
work?
time, I'll think of them myself. I'll have a pretty good idea straight away. A couple of times my editor has been like, I don't think that works, might not have the commercial appeal, let's try something else. And I've changed. But yeah, I can generally work out if a book's going to do all right if I can work out what the title is before I send it to my editor, the final version.
But titles are so hard. Like I can write
Yeah.
a 90,000 word book, but titles, like, they just escape me. How does that happen? Is it just as you're writing it comes to you, or?
Yeah, it'd be literally that. As I'm writing, I'll think of it, a phrase will come to mind, or I'll write something down. I'll be like, that might work.
That's a real talent right there.
It's just luck, honestly. There's no talent. There's no talent here. I'm paddling in the shallow end here.
Such a great title.
Yeah.
It is. Okay, so Damon, his obsession with the missing moment becomes almost self-destructive. So how did you balance psychological realism with the propulsive thriller pace?
It's hard, isn't it, sometimes to try and get that right, because you want to delve into your character enough to make him plausible and make him believable as much as you can. But then you don't want to go so far into it that people are bored, or that you get that middle part of the book slump that's so difficult for some of us and we have to really fight to get through it. So I think I'd try to mix the action with what's going on with him in his head and how he's trying to work all this out, to try and propel it forward. Otherwise, it could just be like this big slab of words about, oh, woe is me, things are terrible, yada, yada, yada. And you just know that people will get bored of it. If I get bored of writing it, people are going to get bored of reading it. That's what I'm doing anyway.
Yeah. Don't worry, you pulled it off wonderfully.
Yeah, you did.
And
I really think it's like, for me, it was fascinating to have a character who's like, I want to die so that I can remember something, and to keep like doing it, to uncover the truth. It's like terrifying, but also fascinating, and keeps you glued to the page. Like, where did that come from? And like how did you come up with that?
I just thought that if he thinks he's seen something, how on earth is he? He goes for hypnotherapy, and I had other things in the book as well that he tried, but it slowed the pacing down too much. And I just thought, what? He's at the end of his tether. He hasn't got the greatest life anyway. He's become absolutely obsessed with this. It's all he can think about. So why not have him die again? And then, okay, I know it's not necessarily the most plausible thing in the world to keep surviving all these deaths and being brought back. That's the fun of writing a book, isn't it? You can literally get away with murder.
But you did it well, because he enlists help, right? And from people who know what they're doing. Like his former girlfriend is I don't remember what you call it, but an EMT, right? So she can bring him back to life.
Yeah.
Which you have to really trust someone to be like, hey, let's do this.
Yeah, I found a paramedic who helped me out with the kind of the plausibility and of what kind of equipment you would need and stuff like that. And then when his ex-wife refuses to do it, he enlists the help of somebody else, who I brought back from another book. My God, trying to keep this quiet is impossible. I've only so far I've seen a couple of great reviews on Goodreads that have mentioned this character. This character was the star of an early book of mine, and it was really, I don't do sequels, but it was a really fun way of bringing this person back. But it is killing me not being able to say who it is, because I don't want to ruin it for people.
Oh yeah.
Oh, will they know? Because I didn't read that book, but will they know like what he or she will do?
Yeah.
Okay, so we won't say that.
Yeah.
We won't say that name.
If they've read that book, they will know. But also, I think at the end of the book, we put a bonus, like kind of like after the acknowledgement, we put the first chapter of the book that came from. So they're like, oh, okay. So if you don't need to have read that book to have read this one, if that makes sense.
Oh, nice tie-in. I like that.
Yeah, I love a nice little Easter egg.
I'm upselling.
Really
So
good.
did you have to do a lot of research into like near death or?
Yeah, I did quite a bit.
from death. And what were some of the craziest stories that you read about?
I just think there's one thing that I use in there that was true, and a chap who was dying and who they put various electrical pulses and things on him so they could measure his brain waves as he was dying, and then they discovered that there was this sense of euphoria in the minutes just before he died, and that's what they believe is your life flashing before your eyes. And I didn't believe that was real. And then there's a lot about, so I use electroconvulsive shock therapy in there as a basis for things that have happened to Damon in the past. I didn't know much about it, just this sudden idea that I had. And I looked into it and it's like, yeah, okay, these bits can help block out people's pasts. So that's what the catalyst of him not being able to remember everything was.
Wow. So
Crazy.
God, it was fun research, wasn't it? Death.
Yeah.
It's a very uplifting topic. Yeah.
Yeah.
You heard about that? Yeah.
So
Okay.
the next book is just a light-hearted, whimsical comedy.
Yeah. I don't believe
I think that would be really hard to write.
I couldn't do it, I couldn't do it. People often say to me, if you didn't write in this genre, what would you write in? And I just say, I know, cowboy erotica. I really don't know. I don't think I'd be anything good at anything else. I will tell a quick story. So when our son was little, you always read your kids bedtime stories, and I had this great idea for a bedtime story for him, and I pretty much plotted it all out in my head, and it was great, and I was going to have a go at writing it, and it was going to rhyme. And then about 3 or 4 months later, I realized that in my lack of sleep-induced haze, I'd just basically plagiarized the whole thing. The book existed, the story existed. I had no idea.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've heard from other authors who've done that, and they realize, like a friend of, when she's been on the Killer Author Club, she'd probably tell this story, but I won't say her name out loud. But she, back before she was published, she had her first book and she was querying it. And then a book came out that was almost exactly the same, premise. Even one of the characters was named the same. And she's like, I've never read this book. How does that happen? But it's like there's this communal cloud of ideas, and we just grab them.
Yeah.
Sometimes 2 people grab them at the same time.
Oh, you'd be gutted, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I know Melissa Gilbert and Ann Patchett talk about that in her book, Big Magic, Melissa Gilbert, where they were like having lunch or something together, and she just explained this whole story, and the other one had written it. It was like in a very obscure, so like this collective energy, I think it's out there. I mean, why not,
Yeah. So we're all tapping into the dark collective energy. Other people are tapping into the light, just saying.
Yeah. Up the dark.
That's what we like. So there it is. So your story, The One, became a Netflix series, correct?
Oh yes. You know what? That's out of all the books that I've written, that is the one. That's my biggest seller around the world. That book. So it's going to be like over 1 million in 4 countries and blah blah blah. But it's the only thing that I ever get people emailing me to tell me how much they hate the TV adaptation.
Oh really?
No, that's not
fair. Is it very different?
Oh, it's totally different. Yeah. You know what? I'm biased, and I enjoyed watching it. It was interesting, and I got to see the filming of it, and it was a whole interesting experience. But I think because it was so different to the book, people didn't necessarily like it. But I revisited the characters because it's the 10th anniversary since I first self-published that book next year, I've written 5 bonus chapters for it, which comes out in the US and the UK in I think March, April, and like a author's note as well, and just like revisiting what's happened in the last 10 years. But that was a weird period of time when that came out on TV. We just binge watched it one weekend.
Yeah.
Especially if it's so different than the book, that would be hard to watch.
Yeah, you know what? It was okay. People ask me, why did you agree to it? It was your story. And I'm like, it paid my house. Why am I not going to do it? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Once you sign that, it's their story. It's not really your story more correct?
No.
They get that license.
Yeah, I took it as far as I could take it, and then they took it as far as they wanted to take it. So, yeah.
Yeah, you do give up your rights. And, I guess if you're like, I don't know, Patricia Cornwell, you can say, well, this has to be in it or something, but especially with your first one that's being filmed, you don't know what you're doing, what you need to ask for. And
absolutely. I didn't even have a TV and film rights agent at that point. I still don't have an actual book agent. I've never had one.
You don't have a book agent?
No, we deal with my husband and I, we deal with it all ourselves. We've got an idea now of how things work and, the value of my own worth and stuff like that. And so, no, we don't have one. We've got TV and film rights over in California now, so I can't deal with any of that stuff. No, I don't have an agent.
Well, so I have a question then. Do you, you said that the one was self-published.
Yes.
How did that work? You self-published for a while and then you got picked up by a publisher?
It was really random. So I had 3 books that I'd self-published, had no interest in any of them from publishers, not one. I still got the 80 rejection letters in a cupboard here. And then in the same week, 2 different publishers spotted 2 of the books on Amazon, downloaded them and made me offers to write for both different publishers. So one speculative fiction and one psychological thrillers. And in that same couple of days after that week, that's when somebody from a production company got in touch and asked if they could.
Wow.
It was the most surreal experience I will ever have.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. And validating too.
I just bluffed my way through this career.
Well, clearly you're doing something right.
It's I enjoy it. It's good fun.
Well, especially I started out self-publishing too, and I think to be able to kind of claw your way and get attention, I had the same thing happen. 2 publishers all of a sudden noticing you, and you're like, oh wow, okay. After all of those stacks of rejection letters, it's really nice to be able to have that. So congratulations.
Thank you. It's hard though, isn't it? When you're whether you're self-publishing or whether you're being traditionally published, so much of the work is in the promotion of those books.
Yeah.
So much time is taken doing it.
So much. Yeah. And touring and all that stuff
It's almost like a full-time job on top of your full-time job, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. I spend a lot of time on Facebook book clubs, chatting to people and talking about not just my book, about other books as well. And my other half and I, we spend a lot of time on social media trying to make posts interesting. And as I say, not just about my books, about other stuff, things that we're doing, things that we're reading, because I wouldn't want to read just about me all the time. It's bad enough being me and having to listen to me, let alone inflicting it on other people. But I think social media is such an important way to do it. And podcasts like this, I mean, God, you have one of the best podcasts out there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, and you have such a warm community around you with your books. And I mean, it's obvious that you've taken a lot of care and personalization in building that community. And I think people see that. I think they see how authentic it is and welcoming. So so taking notes on how you do that.
No joke.
Really great.
You have to, isn't it? I talk to authors and they just don't like doing the promotional side of things at all. Why would you spend a year of your life writing a book and then not telling people about it? I just don't get it. I don't get it. And it's difficult. So I used to be a journalist. So my job, as you mentioned earlier in the intro, my job was to talk to other people and to promote what they wanted to talk about. And then the shoe was on the other foot. And then I found it really hard talking about myself. I mean, the whole imposter syndrome, which I still have. And talking about it's almost like you have to become a different person. So I think of myself as me, John Mars, and then me, John Mars, the writer.
Yeah.
God, sorry, I ramble on, don't I?
No, this is great. That's what
you probably asked about 2 questions, and here am I, me.
That's why you're here.
Because our readers and our viewers and listeners really want to hear from you. So this is great.
Thank you.
That's great.
So Kimberly, I think it's time.
Is it time? Well, let's see. So Killer John is giving away 2 signed and personalized copies of Dead in the Water to lucky U.S. viewers. Doesn't matter where you're watching. We scour the comments everywhere we stream. But please make sure to shout out where you're from when you answer this question. What was John's profession before turning to writing full time? Did we talk about that? I think it was in the intro.
Well, and we just mentioned it too.
I was a star of Hooters. There's a plot twist.
Okay, don't write that, you guys.
Oh, I love it. So the Killers were big fans of independent bookstores and want to send them all the support. So John has chosen Imagined Things Bookshop in Harrogate, Yorkshire to highlight tonight. So tell us, John, why is Imagined Things such a special place to you?
So up in Harrogate, they have a book festival every year, and it's like one of the biggest ones in the UK, and it's great. And you have panelists, and you just get to meet readers and just chat and blah blah blah. It's great. And they have 2 bookshops in the town. One of them's like the big chain store Waterstones, and one of them is like a little, much smaller and indie. But the people there are awesome. They will talk about books. They will recommend you books. They will recommend things that I've never heard of to read. They do like they have their own book club, and they're just great. When people just love books, and you can tell they just love their job and they love their store. I really respect that.
Love it.
We'll drop the links in the comments for our UK viewers and bookshop.org for our US viewers. So you can order Dead in the Water along with any other books on your wish list.
Yeah, and obviously the Killers love to read, and we love it when you share what you're reading in our Facebook group, post pictures, write reviews, ask for recommendations, and give yours. Tonight, though, we want to know, John, what are you currently reading?
I am in between books, but I'm just about to start this book called Woman Down by a very unknown young writer by the name of Colleen Hoover, which I don't think anybody will have heard of at the moment. I predict big things for this lady. Yes, there's another one as well who's up and coming called Frida McFadden, and I think she's going to do quite well. She may have a book or 2 out this year.
Or a movie or 2.
A movie or 10, yes. But I am about to start Colleen's book, because she comes out, I think, a week before me, and Frida's about a week after, or the other way around anyway. So basically, I'm seeing what the competition is. I'm seeing what I'm up against.
You're sandwiched in the middle.
Yeah,
There you go.
Really useless, like little piece of ham in between these 2 artisan breads. That's the sandwich I'm in.
We have faith in you. You can do it.
You can do it. I think you'll do just great.
Okay, thank you.
So we also have 2 fabulous new releases we wanted to celebrate tonight. First, we have You Can Scream by Rebecca Zanetti. In You Can Scream, someone is using technology to kill and family secrets to cover their tracks. Laurel Snow's only chance to stop them may mean trusting the one person she swore she never would, her psychopathic half-sister currently on trial for murder. And we also have Beth is Dead by Katie Burnett. Beth March's sisters will stop at nothing to track down her killer until they begin to suspect each other in this brilliantly snappy, electrifying debut thriller that's also a bold, contemporary reimagining of the beloved classic Little Women. So Rebecca is giving away, count them, 10 copies of You Can Scream, and Katie is giving away 2 of Beth is Dead, all to US viewers. If you want in, tell us in the comments, and make sure to tell us where you're from. And because we're all about shamelessly plugging our own murdery fun, don't miss the Killer's latest reads.
Yes, Kara's got We Were Never Friends, a sorority reunion that takes a very, very dark turn. Pre-order now before the party gets started, and she'll send you freebies.
And speaking of deadly parties, Heather is serving up the perfect hosts, an over-the-top gender reveal party that explodes in more ways than one.
And Kimberly's taking you on a deadly European getaway in the expat affair, 2 Americans, the glittering diamond trade, and danger in Amsterdam.
Ooh. We want to also say a big killer thanks to Book Reporter for sharing the murdery love. Stay up to date on bookish news and events at bookreporter.com.
And John, we have some very, very good news for you. We are thrilled to share that you have survived the Killer Author Club.
Yes. If I succeed in nothing else for the rest of this year, on that.
And can you tell viewers and listeners, where can they find you? Where's the best spot?
They can find me everywhere, basically. I'm just whoring myself out on a daily basis. I'm on Instagram at John Mars Author. I'm on Facebook at John Mars Author. Those are my main ones. I don't really do Twitter, X, whatever it calls itself now. No.
What about TikTok?
Oh yeah, I do TikTok as well. Yeah, my husband does all of my social media videos and stuff now. So I'll be sitting in here plowing along with work, and all of a sudden he'll burst in the door. Got a great idea. Found a really good sound. I'm like, what? Turning a camera in my face. I'm like, what do you want? Yeah, that'll do. Bye. And the next thing I know, I'm plastered all over TikTok. So yes, again, I think it's John Miles author. Yeah, I'm everywhere.
Awesome. So look him up.
I know. I wish my husband would help with social media. That would be
no kidding.
Yeah. No, I can't even get him to film like a little thing. I'm like, no, you're cutting off my head. Anyway, okay. That's a wrap on tonight's episode. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back on January 20th with Jenna Blum and her latest Murder Your Darlings. Until then, you can catch us wasting too much time on Instagram, Facebook, and occasionally TikTok. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We're almost up to 1,000, or maybe we're up to 1,000. We're trying to get to 1,000. We don't know. Okay. Anyway, for links, upcoming schedule, past episodes, and merch, head to killerauthorclub.com. Thanks for being part of the club.
That does it for tonight's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to catch our next show live, we're every other Tuesday night on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For times, upcoming schedule, and to catch up on past episodes, visit us at killerauthorclub.com. Happy reading. Now get on out there and kill that TBR.